Welcome to This Is How We Heal with naturopath, herbalist, and author Anthea Koulouros. With over 3 decades of clinical experience guiding thousands on their healing journeys, Anthea invites you into honest, heartfelt conversations about what really gets in the way of health and healing and what gently brings us back to ourselves. If you're sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, overwhelmed by wellness noise, or just yearning to feel like yourself again, you're in the right place. This podcast is for anyone feeling burnt out, lost in a sea of symptoms, or simply longing for a deeper connection to their health, their body, and their truth.
Hello and welcome. I'm Anthea Koulouros and this is How We Heal, a space to slow down, listen in and remember the pathways home to health. Today we're traveling inward to one of the most complex and powerful ecosystems in the body, the gut microbiome. It's an ancient community that lives within us all, yet it also connects us to everything else around us, our food, our families, our environments and our collective history. When this inner ecosystem becomes imbalanced, it's called gut dysbiosis. And right now, I see more of it in my clinic than ever before. The microbiome refers to the vast collection of microorganisms that live in and on our bodies: bacteria, fungi, viruses, and even parasites. There are many biomes on our skin, in our mouths, lungs, and reproductive tracts. But our focus today is the gut microbiome, the largest and most metabolically active of them all. Think of it as an inner rainforest, dense, alive, and independent. When it's thriving, everything works in harmony. These microbes help us digest fiber, synthesize vitamins, regulate the immune system, protect us against pathogens, and even communicate directly with the brain through the gut-brain axis. Our health depends on this diversity. When the rainforest is lush, our digestion is strong, our energy is steady, our mood balanced, and our immunity resilient, then it goes well, then it's working well. But when it's stripped bare through medication, infection, or stress, that's when dysbiosis takes root. But who lives there and who shouldn't live in there? In a healthy gut, beneficial bacteria such as bifidobacteria, lactobacilli, akkermansia dominate. These are our friendly residents, our microbial allies. They produce short-chain fatty acids like butyrate. Their role is to nourish the intestinal lining and calm inflammation. But when the balance tips, opportunistic species, the ones that normally live quietly in the background, can overgrow. These include strains like Klebsiella, Clostridium streptococcus, which in excess drive bloating, pain, and immune reactivity. Then there are true pathogens, the bacteria, the parasites, the fungi or viruses that simply don't belong, the uninvited guest at a dinner party. Just to define a few things, SIBO, I'm sure many of you have heard of before, means small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, occurs when bacteria migrate upward into the small intestine, fermenting food too early. It causes gas, distension, reflux, nausea, and alternating bowels. LIBO is the large intestinal bacterial overgrowth. This is what we see a lot of in the clinic: fermentation and inflammation deeper in the colon. Candida and other fungi can dominate when bacteria are depleted from antibiotics, for instance, which leads to yeast overgrowth, sugar cravings, brain fog, and recurrent infections. Parasites like Blastocystis, Dientamoeba, or Giardia enter through contaminated food, water, or travel exposure, but they can also be passed on from person to person. And then viral pathogens, including the norovirus, rotavirus, or post-viral inflammation, can leave a lasting microbial scar long after the infection has passed. And sometimes a single episode of food poisoning or traveler's diarrhea becomes the trigger that changes the gut ecosystem for years. Where does our microbiome come from? We don't just start life alone. Our first microbes come from our parents long before we take our first breath. Research now shows that even paternal health plays a role. Elements of the father's microbiome can be transmitted through sperm, influencing fertilization, early immune development, and embryo implantation. The father's diet, metabolic health, and environmental exposures, antibiotics, alcohol, pesticides, or ultra processed foods shape sperm quality and epigenetic expression, which in turn affects the child's future microbial immune resilience. During pregnancy, the maternal microbiome acts as a living ecosystem for two. Microbes have been detected in the amniotic fluid, placenta, and umbilical cord, suggesting the baby's first microbial exposure may begin in utero rather than at birth. What the mother eats, the medication she takes, her stress levels, and the air that she breathes all become a part of the baby's first microbial education. At birth, the mode of delivery matters. A vaginal birth transfers beneficial lactobacillus and bifidobacterium species from the birth canal, priming the infant's immune system and digestion. Caesarean births, while sometimes necessary, bypass that exposure, leading to a microbiome seeded more by skin and hospital-associated microbes. Breast milk continues this inheritance, rich in prebiotic oligosaccharides that feed beneficial bacteria. Skin-to-skin contact, home microbes, pets, and even the shared microbiome of fathers and siblings all shape the infant's terrain. In essence, we are born into a lineage of microbes, an invisible inheritance that ties us all to our ancestry and our environment. But what wipes it out? The delicate inheritance is easily disrupted. I often describe modern life as over-sanitized and underexposed. We've disinfected ourselves out of balance. Evidence-based disruptors include antibiotics. Even a single course can reduce microbial diversity for months or years, particularly beneficial butyrate-producing bacteria. PPIs, also known as proton pump inhibitors, lower stomach acidity, altering microbial communities and allowing small intestinal overgrowth. Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs increase intestinal permeability and promote inflammation. Even the oral contraceptive pill can alter gut flora and are linked with a higher risk of inflammatory bowel conditions. Painkillers and opioids can slow gut motility, reduce microbial diversity, and impair mucosal immunity. And did you know that swimming in chlorinated pools, that constant disinfectant exposure, can also alter the skin and the gut microbiome through simple absorption of chlorinated or antibacterial water, absorption via the skin and ingestion via the mouth. And what about antibacterial soaps and sanitizers and cleaning agents? Compounds such as triclosan have been shown to reduce microbial diversity and encourage resistant strains. Preservatives and food additives, emulsifiers like polysorbate 80, carboxymethyl cellulose, and artificial sweeteners like sucralose or saccharin disrupt the gut's mucosal barrier and beneficial flora. And lifestyle factors, from stress, sleep disruption, and circadian misalignment that can change gut motility, and bacterial composition, and not to forget the other toxins that are in our environment, the environmental ones such as pesticides, heavy metals, plasticizers such as BPA, can diminish microbial diversity and alter detox pathways. Add to this the common experiences of food poisoning, traveler's diarrhea, or post-viral inflammation, and it's no wonder so many people present with dysbiosis. These events often mark the beginning of a long-term imbalance, and it's what I see daily in the clinic. People who have lost not only their microbial diversity, but also their inner resilience. Healing isn't just about taking probiotics or dietary changes. It is about restoring the relationship with food, with nature, and with our body's innate capacity for balance. So how do we identify the imbalance? I start with a detailed symptom review. Often the body tells the story long before testing does. Patients describe the following: bloating, gas, or abdominal discomfort, constipation or diarrhea, or alternating between both, food sensitivities or intolerances, brain fog and fatigue, skin issues such as eczema, acne, or psoriasis, anxiety, low mood, or poor stress tolerance, immune weakness, allergies, or chronic infections. We then confirm this all through functional testing. So I recommend comprehensive stool analysis or microbiome mapping. These reveal levels of beneficial flora, what belongs there, and opportunistic bacteria, fungi, and parasites. Also, digestive function, such as pancreatic elastase and steatocrit. So, two areas that are very important, obviously: how we digest proteins, how we digest fats, and how we digest carbs. Inflammation markers are also tested. Sometimes they look like calprotectin, zonulin, secretory IgA, and those short chain fatty acids, which are produced by beneficial bacteria when we're eating a lot of plant fiber diversity. And examples are butyrate. This clarity helps determine whether the imbalance is bacterial, fungal, parasitic, inflammatory, or a combination of all of them, as often it is. So when we discover this information through a detailed consult and through thorough testing, we then address it through the following methods. So we want to heal gut dysbiosis, but not about just killing off microbes, because so many patients are taking endless amounts of oregano oil or antiparasitic herbs. It's about rebalancing the entire ecosystem. So my approach always begins with identifying what caused the imbalance. Was it an infection, antibiotic use, chronic distress, poor diet? From there, we follow a stepwise process. Sometimes we need to soothe. Sometimes we need to do other first aid, like create some energy, cognition, things that we've talked about in previous podcasts. But of course, we need to reduce the overgrowth and any irritants or food intolerances that we're aware of. And we support that by starving the overgrowth by removing sugar and yeast and processed ingredients from ultra-processed foods such as baked goods, and remove industrialized seed oils and refined salts. And if there is an issue with digestion and absorption, then we might use digestive herbal bitters that stimulate salivary juices, that stimulate digestive juices. Or we may end up using or some digestive enzymes, but that is often revealed in a stool analysis test or a SIBO breath test. And sometimes we can just work it out through the symptoms themselves, how people feel after they eat. And if we need to repair the gut, then we're rebuilding the gut lining with specific nutrients. And that can be anything from glycine, glutamine, zinc, carnosine, collagen, and very soothing herbs such as slippery elm, licorice, marshmallow, so many more that we have to use. And of course, we need to reinoculate. As diligently as we diligently seed the gut garden. So we reintroduce beneficial microbes through very specific strains of probiotics that we see within a comprehensive stool analysis. And not to forget prebiotics. Prebiotics encourage the growth of beneficial bacteria, probiotics. And we can't forget the entire terrain being the mind and body and the environment that we live in. We want to make sure we're regulating our nervous system. We want to make sure we're getting adequate rest. We want to make sure that we're eating really well, nutrient-dense whole foods, seasonal, local plants and animals of high quality. We want to make sure we're hydrating well and we have consistently good, healthy bowel habits. We want to make sure we're sleeping well. This process takes time. True restoration just doesn't happen overnight, but the body knows how to heal when given the right conditions. So, your microbiome isn't just a colony of microbes, it's a mirror of how you live. It reflects what you eat, how you rest, how you relate to the world around you. It carries echoes of your ancestors and whispers of your environment. To heal the gut is to restore relationship with yourself, your food, and the natural world that made you. So, a few things for you to self reflect on. When did I last feel at home in my body? What foods, places, or habits leave me feeling heavy, bloated, or foggy, and which make me feel alive? How has stress shaped your digestion? What everyday exposures, whether it be medications, cleaning products, processed foods, might be dulling or disrupting your microbial diversity? How can you bring more nature into your internal and external world? What would happen if you slowed down long enough to truly listen to what your gut needs? And if healing is a relationship, what kind of relationship do you want to cultivate with yourself, with food, and with life? If today's episode has resonated with you and you've seen yourself in these symptoms or stories, know that healing is possible. It begins with curiosity, not control, nourishment, and not severe restriction. If you'd like guidance on your own gut healing journey, you can book an appointment with us in our clinic or join our membership, where I teach you the principles of food as medicine, host live Q&As, and guide you through seasonal cleansers to help rebuild balance, starting with your gut from the inside out. You'll also find all the links in the show notes. I'm Anthea Cliris, and thank you for listening to This Is How We Heal. Until next time, may you trust your gut, honor your body's wisdom, and remember that you are part of nature, not separate from it.
If this episode spoke to you, your healing journey doesn't have to end here. Join Anthea in her dedicated online community, the Staying Healthy Together Club, a space for real conversations and holistic health education with trusted resources. We'd love to see you there.